So, I survived my first 100 days in Valheim, and let me tell you, it was a wild ride. I learned a lot, made some mistakes, and got a taste of what this world really has to offer. But now, we're taking it to the next level. I'm diving into 200 days, and this time, I'm going for the big stuff. The rare gear, and the epic bosses, and all those items that take forever to get. The real question is, can I survive this? Or will Valheim just knock me down again and again? Well, let's find out. Let's go. 200 days of adventure. Let's make it count. Alright, day 100. The moment I woke up, a bunch of swamp monsters were already waiting for me. What a way to start the day. After dealing with them, I went over to the farm to plant some carrots. I used a wooden platform just to make everything look a little nicer. You know, farming with style. After that, I went out to pick some blueberries and thistle, since I need them for making some resistant potions before heading back to the swamp or going to the swamp. So, gotta make the poison resistance if I wanna survive the swamp without crying.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get.
And while I was out there, I casually ran into a spawner because, yeah, why not, bro? It's not like I was trying to have a relaxing day or anything. The next day, I went mining for tin and copper ores, just doing the usual work of a Viking. While I was out, I spotted two deer just minding their own business, so naturally, I hunted them. Sorry dears, it's survival of the fittest out here. Anyway, it wouldn't be a normal day without those annoying enemies showing up again. Like, seriously, do they have a GPS tracker on me or what? After dealing with them and making it back to the base, I immediately threw all my ores into the smelter like I was a Gordon Ramsay but with metal.
Are you?
An idiot sandwich.
Idiot sandwich what?
And then night finally came, and I managed to build an anvil, which means my forge hit level 3. I was honestly so proud like a parent. After that, I cooked up some deer meat, then headed to the backyard to harvest some carrots and plant a few more. Oh, and I also went out to gather some raspberries, and while I was at it, I figured I might as well hunt a few necktails, since, you know, they're one of the key ingredients for making poison resistance. And for those who don't know, poison resistance is a total must-have, especially with all the nasty enemies waiting for me in the swamp biome. On day 107, I went back to the Black Forest to hunt some deer for food, which I also needed as an ingredient to make better meals. After that, I headed back to the base for a quick rest, then started mining copper ores again. We needed the copper to craft a med kettle, so we could finally start making different kinds of potions, especially that poison resistance one will definitely need for the swamp biome. And as you can see here, I'm just about done mining the copper, which means we can finally start crafting some gear. After that, I went back to base to build a small cabin, where I placed the med kettle, fermenter, and cauldron. The cabin was starting to take shape, and that's when I decided it actually made more sense to place it inside the main base. After that, I harvested some carrot seeds and thought it'd be a good idea to expand the farm so we could plant even more stuff. We finally headed to the swamp biome and started exploring. While we were there, we managed to gather some gunk, which is apparently used to craft some pretty good gears. After collecting the gunk, we set sail on a boat, and out of nowhere, we stumbled upon a merchant right in the middle of an island. And of course, who could resist checking out what he was selling, right? We just took a quick look at what he was selling, then headed off again. Not long after, we got close to the swamp biome, and the moment we arrived, we were immediately greeted by all sorts of enemies. It got so intense, so we just ended up running straight into dungeon for cover. Inside the dungeon, we looted all kinds of items, some useful, some not so much. After the later adventure, we decided to build a tiny base right on the top of the dungeon. Not fancy a setup, but it got the job done. And from there, the cycle began. Dive into another dungeon, gather some iron scraps, grab whatever else we could carry, rinse and repeat. It was basically a dungeon crawl marathon with snack breaks. When I got back to base, I went straight to the backyard and wow, there were a ton of carrot seeds ready to harvest. It was like my little Viking garden exploded, so I harvested everything and replanted right away. Gotta keep that carrot empire growing. After farming duties, I headed off to the Black Forest, and guess who I ran into? A giant troll. Just casually walking around like he owned the place. So yeah, I did what any responsible Viking would do. I took him out. Once the troll was dealt with, I continued my real mission hunting for certain cores inside the caves. We needed them to craft a new smelter to melt all the iron scraps we hauled back from the swamp. Of course, the caves were packed with skeletons, like way too many skeletons, but I powered through and gathered a ton of certain cores. After all that chaos, I finally made it back to the base for some well-earned rest. The next morning, we finally started smelting all the iron scraps we gathered from the dungeons. And this time, we didn't mess around. We built two smelters to speed things up. Because waiting for metal melt one piece at a time. Nope, not today. While the smelters were doing their thing, we went back out to explore even more dungeons. Still on the hunt for extra loot and of course, more iron scraps. And let me tell you, the deeper we went, the wider the enemies we got. Different types of monsters were popping out left and right, but we handled them like pros. Thankfully, we already had our poison-resistant potions, so moving through swamp was very way easy this time. No more panic healing every 5 seconds. Just smooth looting, skeleton slaying, and swamp conquering. So here I am chopping down some birch trees because I'm planning to build a big boat. After that, I headed to the shore to start building, but of course a wild troll appears out of nowhere. This dude started chasing me, so I had no choice but to fight back. With a little throwdown, and luckily I managed to take him down. After the fight, I built the boat and quickly set sail toward the swamp. Once I arrived in the lovely welcoming swamp biome, I grabbed the copper ores I bought with me and got to work right away. Build a forge, slap on a forge cooler, and before you know it, I was rocking a full set of iron armor. At around day 130 to 134, I went to the back of the house to pick up some carrot seeds and plant them. As you can see, there's a crazy amount of carrot seeds growing already, so it was definitely time for a big harvest. Of course, I had to replant the seeds too, and I know farming never ends. And after a long session of planting and harvesting carrots, and yes, I'm basically a Viking farmer now, and I headed to the swamp biomes to conquer some dungeons and collect some iron scraps. And no, I wasn't alone in there. Those dungeons are packed with enemies, and to make things even spicier, I ran into a monster called an abomination. That things hit like a truck. One slap and it's lights out. After clearing a bunch of dungeons and barely surviving, I went back to the base to cook up some food because I realized I was almost out of stuff, and I bought with me and I can't go adventuring on an empty stomach. And oh, I almost forgot, I also crafted myself an iron axe and iron pickaxe. I figured it was time for an upgrade. My old gear's been through a lot, and honestly, it was kinda starting to feel like using spoon in a boss fight. So I fired up the smelter, made some coal, and yes, back to the dungeons I went, and I gonna grind more iron because I'm planning to swap out all of my gear for full iron. After the dungeon run, I went straight into crafting mode, made myself an iron shield, an iron sword, and iron mace. With this loadout, fighting just got way easier. Once I was done crafting, I headed back to the base to whip up some poison resistance and frost resistant potions. I was planning to head to the mountain soon, and trust me, you do not want to go there without frost resistance unless you have enjoyed freezing your Viking buns off. While waiting for the potions to ferment, I took a quick trip to Black Forest to gather some tistel and blueberries since my supply was getting low. Of course, it wouldn't be a normal day without getting ambushed by enemies. It got dark while I was still out there fighting, so I ended up spending the night in the forest. Just me, the stars, and a bunch of monsters trying to kill me. Finally, the poison and frost-resistant potions finished fermenting, and it took long enough. Once they were done, I headed straight to the mountains to hopefully find some useful stuff, like silver or whatever treasure was hiding up there. On my way there, I bumped into a troll, took care of it real quick. No biggie, but when I finally reached the mountains near our base, and yeah, it was kind of a letdown. The place was empty, like completely dead. Nothing but snow and disappointment. So I decided to set sail instead, but built myself a boat, channeled my inner Viking explorer, and just started sailing around. During my adventure, I came across this weird looking island. Turns out it was the plains biome. Now this place was different. I saw these black goopy creatures that spit some kind of dark liquid, very friendly. Obviously, then some tiny goblin looking monster showed up. I managed to take one down, but of course it called for backup. Next thing I know, I'm getting smacked around by goblins with clubs that hit like freight trains. So yeah, I ran. I wanted to build a portal to get up there, but surprise, I left the ingredients on the boat. So I just kept running along the way. I picked up some tar, which is apparently used for crafting cool new stuff. So silver lining or anything. Eventually, I managed to build the portal and immediately got killed. Classic Valheim moment. After respawning, I rushed back and started building a little base, put down some floors, slap on a roof. You know the drill, but of course it wouldn't be complete without some annoying mobs crashing the construction site. And just when I thought it was over, a bee popped out of nowhere and yeah, it killed me. A bee I fought trolls and abominations, but apparently a bee was my final boss today. When I got back to the plains, first thing I did was move the portal to a much safer spot inside the house. Lesson learned, okay? Then I started decorating the base to raise the comfort level, added a mini fireplace, threw in some chairs and tables, and even hung up the troll trophy I got earlier. Gotta make the place feel like home even if everything outside wants me dead. After sprucing up the house, I went out to explore more of the plains to see what was out there. During my little adventure, I saw this absolutely jack goblin. Like this dude looked like he skipped leg day but never missed arm day. I decided it was best to just walk away. Then I spotted some adorable creatures like blocks, super fluffy, look chill. Turns out they were not. One of them got mad at me and boom, I was dead. I went back to get my stuff and that's when a dead mosquito swooped out of nowhere and took me out again. I swear those tiny things hit harder than a troll. So there I was going for round 3, almost got my stuff back and guess what? The same logs came charging in like it had a personal vendetta. And yes, you guessed it, dead again. After I finally managed to grab my gear, the lock still wouldn't leave me alone. I ended up running so far I actually crossed into the swamp biome. And of course, more enemies were waiting for me there because why not, right? But hey, silver lining, I finally found the bug witch. She was part of the recent update and I've been curious. So I checked out what she was selling, poked around her creepy little swamp house, and then dipped before something cursed happened. On the way out, I stumbled across some turnip seeds, and yes, the true MVPs of Vikings farming. Pick them up, brought them home, and planted them right away. Then I headed to the Black Forest to look for more certain cores, since I needed materials to build a new portal. Lucky me, I found a bunch and looted them immediately. The plan? To go out exploring again and hopefully find a much bigger mountain biome, one that actually has silver this time, so we can finally upgrade and craft better gear. Once I got back to the base, I saw the turnips had grown. I replanted them to multiply the crop. Then I cooked up some food because I was once again almost out. At this point, I started hauling my other stuff out of the plains because why not? I've had enough of this place. You can see I was really struggling to carry everything. Looks like I was trying to move an entire house in one trip. After a lot of shuffling things around, I finally managed to build another boat, hopped on and sailed off into unknown once again. While sailing, I noticed something snowy in the distance, and finally, a new mountain biome. A duck built a tiny starter base and dove straight into exploration mode. As soon as I started climbing to the mountain, I was greeted by a pack of wolves. Took them down, though, and got some new loot. But then, Out of nowhere, a stone golem showed up. I tried to fight it, but man, that thing was tanky and hit like a frightened train.
That's a lot of damage.
I eventually tried to retreat down to the mountain, but it kept following me, and eventually, I died. After respawning and recovering my gear, I went back up to the mountain, only to get surprised attacked by another golem. This time, I noped out and just ran for it. I climbed over to the next mountain and surprised again, another golem was waiting. Plus, there were these bird-looking monsters flying around, making things even worse. I spotted a dragon egg and thought, hey cool, I grabbed that. Big mistake. The thing is heavy, like I picked it up and instantly couldn't move before I could even think of a plan. And eventually, I died again. When I climbed to the mountain again, I immediately froze to death. I actually made up to the top, but guess what? I died again. Then I died again and again and again. After dying several times just trying to get my stuff back, we finally decided to move on to the swamp to fight Bone Mass, the boss of the swamp biome. When we got there, he respawned and man, he was huge, like a big lump of bones that doesn't even make sense when you look at him. We fought Bone Mass using our trusty iron maces. Good thing, we had poison resistance potions too, because he was spitting out poison like crazy, and if you didn't have resistance, the damage hurt like really hurt. I even tried rolling around to dodge his attacks, doing my best impression of a Dark Souls player, but the timing was tough, and yes, I still got hit. We kept whacking him with everything we had, spamming that iron mace, and after we felt like forever, we finally defeated Bone Mass. We got a shiny trophy and a wishbone, which apparently helps you detect hidden stuff. Pretty handy, especially when we head back to the mountains to hunt for silver. After that, we headed back to place Bone Mass Trophy, and guess what? We unlocked a new buff. This time, it gives resistance, especially against pierce damage. Super useful, especially when the enemies start hitting like trucks. This buff gonna come in clutch when we head back up to the mountains. After placing the trophy, I headed over to the plains to gather some wood, so I could build a portal. While I was at it, I also set up a small shelter right on top of the mountain, to make life easier and not suffer climbing every time. Once that was done, I started mining some obsidian ores I spotted around, which would let me craft different types of bow arrows later on. While I was walking around, I noticed my wishbone was blinking and beeping like crazy. So I thought, alright, let's dig here. Sure enough, after digging underneath, finally found some silver. But of course, before I could celebrate properly, random enemies started showing up, like these annoying wolves and those frost birds. After dealing with them, with minimal panic, I swear, I quickly got back to mining. When the coast was clear, I mined the silver and after just a few hits, I managed to break it all apart. Gathered it up and stuffed into a chest. Then I went a hunting for even more silver and yes, found another spot. I mined again, finished that up, and kept searching. Night eventually fell and that's when the real chaos started. Enemies everywhere including this massive golem. I was so busy focusing on him that I didn't even notice a flying enemy sneak up on me. And yes, I got killed. I climbed back up the mountain and grabbed my staff. Finally suited up with my armor again. After that, I went straight back to mining silver. While I was busy digging away, another golem started lurking around. So I decided, you know what, let's just fight this guy. I popped Bone Man's skill and swung away with my trusty iron mace. And if you look here, you see, I'm actually doing decent damage this time. Way better than my first trip to the mountain, where even I tried to parry, it was pretty much useless. The golem's damage was just insane. But now, thanks to Bone Man's help, fighting up here is way more manageable. After taking down the golem, I got myself a crystal, then went right back to mining silver like nothing happened. The plan is eventually craft a full set of silver armor, maybe even a crystal battle axe too. I have a feeling all that gear's gonna come in super clutch later on. When I finally made it back to base, there was still a bunch of drakes popping up. So I did what had to be done, took them out one by one with my trusty bow. After cleaning that up, I headed over to the swamp biome to gather some iron and haul it back to base. The plan was to upgrade our forge all the way to level 6, cause right now it's stuck at level 3, and definitely need to upgrade for crafting a new gears. So there I was diving into dungeons, grabbing all the iron I could find, loading up into my boat and setting off. Of course, while sailing, it had to start pouring rain with some bonus lightning for that extra you might die. And just when I finally hit to the shore, guess what? A nice little welcoming committee of enemies waiting for me. Fast forward to day 170 to 172. This was the part where I hauled all the iron back to our base, so I could finally upgrade the forge. It took a while though since I didn't bother using a cart. Honestly, it would have been more of a hassle than help. So I just took off my armor to lighten the load and move faster. Gonna do what you gotta do. After I finally moved all the iron, I grabbed the ingredients needed to craft a spice rack, which I needed to upgrade the cool drone to level 2. Once I set it up, finally, I could start cooking better food like sausages, mac shakes, and a bunch of other tasty stuff. After leveling up the cauldron, I moved on to upgrading the forge. I used the iron I bought from the swamp biome and built the smith's anvil first, which I placed outside the house cause well no more space inside. Next was the forge tool rack, and lastly, the forge bellows, which I kinda just squeeze inside the house wherever it would fit. And with all that in place, finally, the forge hit level 6. Now I can craft better gear and actually upgrade my stuff properly. I went back up the mountain to continue mining silver, and after gathering enough, I built a cart to haul it all down. And man, dragging that cart was a nightmare. The path was uneven, so I had to bust out my pickaxe just to make a way forward. Nightfall caught up with me, and there I was, still struggling, dragging the cart downhill. And just when I thought I was getting somewhere, the cart tipped over and wouldn't stack back up. As if that wasn't enough, a drake showed up and a wolf too, both trying to end my whole career. And yeah, they actually got me. When I respawned and made it back to the mountain, I took out the drake with my bow, the classic way. Then I decided, screw it, I just built a new cart, since the old one was all kinds of broken anyway. Of course, while I was busy doing that, I didn't notice I was freezing to death. And yes, I died again. Anyway, once I finally made it down safely to the Black Forest, I used my cultivator to flatten the ground just so I could get down properly to the shore. From there, I loaded everything onto the boat, planning to bring it back to base and smelt it all down. I hopped on my boat and headed over to the cart I left earlier, the one packed with silver from the mountain. I transferred all the silver from the cart into the boat's storage, and once everything was loaded up, I set sail back toward the base. The weather was pretty chill at first, just light rain, and I was seriously praying not to run into a serpent. Because if one of those showed up and wrecked my boat, it would be a total disaster. And of course, guess what? A serpent did show up. Luckily, my boat was pretty fast, so I managed to outrun it. No drama, just some mild heart attacks. As I kept sailing, night fell and I ended up stuck right in the middle of the ocean. The wind was blowing straight against me, so my boat wasn't going anywhere. There I was just sitting there, rain pouring, lightning flashing, huge waves tossing the boat around. Completely alone. Good times, I decided to steer toward the nearest island to wait it out. Built a quick little shelter, sat there like Camp Castaway, and just waited for the storm to pass. Finally, once the rain stopped and the wind started blowing the right way, I set sail again. And after all that chaos, I finally made it back to the shore right near the base. So here, I started carrying all the silver I brought back and took it to the base. This part took forever because I could only carry a little at a time. Had to go back and forth like a delivery guy on overtime. And if you're wondering why I didn't just use a cart, Yeah, I'm still traumatized from dragging that thing on the mountain.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer?
So I figured, screw it. I just shove all the silver into my pockets and carry it by hand. Oh, and I also cooked some food because I was absolutely starving at this point. Basically, 1 HP away from crying. While making food, I also started melting the silver in the smelter at the same time to keep things moving. I even made some extra charcoal so the smelting would go faster. Then I remembered I needed more turnips too, so I went ahead and harvested and replanted those while waiting. After what felt like a few hours of carrying silver, smelting, and planting turnips, finally I had a good pile of silver ready to go. Now I could finally craft some silver armor and maybe even that crystal battle axe and Drodger Fang. Not even sure if I'm saying that right, but yeah, that thing. While waiting for the rest of the silver to finish smelting, I decided to just sit down for a bit and enjoy the nice weather. Then I thought, instead of wasting time, I might as well head over to the swamp biome and look for some ancient bark. I needed it for crafting new items. So off I went, diving into a few dungeons, and if you're wondering why I'm looking for ancient bark in dungeons instead of just chopping trees, well, the chests inside usually have a bunch of ancient bark, and it's way easier. Sure enough, I ended up getting 50 pieces of ancient bark from the dungeon's runs. After that, I headed back to the base and decided to make some sausages. They give a huge boost to health. I also whipped some mac shakes which are awesome for boosting stamina. Perfect combo to balance out my stats. After a long grind, I finally completed my full set of silver armor, feeling like a true Viking. I also crafted some new gear, the Crystal Battle Axe and the Drodger Fang Bow. And let me tell you, these weapons are not just powerful, and goddamn, this so beautiful. Swinging that Crystal Battle Axe, it's like building a piece of art that smashing stings. With my new armor and weapons, I headed to the swamp biome to hunt leeches for blood bags, essential for crafting health boosting food. While there, I also gathered entrails. It's so gross but necessary. Back at base, I cooked up some black soup and other hearty meals. I also brewed stamina potions along with my frost and poison resistance to prepare for future adventures. After gathering all the ingredients for food, I headed over to the plains to explore. And right off the bat, a Lox came charging at me. Perfect timing to test out my new weapon. This time, I was actually dealing some real damage to the Lox. But even with my shiny new armor, man, this thing still hits like a truck. Luckily, I managed to take it down, but just as I was about to grab the loot from the logs, a troll decided to crush the party. Had to deal with him too. After that chaos, I finally picked up the Lox meat, Lox belt, and a bunch of other random goodies. First time I ever killed a Lox too, so milestone unlocked, I guess. Not long after, I ended up fighting a whole army of goblins, including this one giant goblin carrying a ridiculously huge club. And let me tell you, this thing hurts way more than I expected. Thought I could just breeze through it, but nope. After finally taking him down, I stumbled upon some flax and barley, new ingredients for crafting new gear, and of course, more food. I headed back to base to first to craft some frost arrows. After that, I went back to plains to gather more flax and barley. Once I had enough, I also harvested some turnips so I could plant the flax and barley back at my farm. But turns out I messed up. I planted the flax and barley at base, not realizing they only grow in the plains. So yeah, I had to destroy all the wrong crops. Rip. After that gardening fail, I made a quick trip to the swamp biome to gather some ancient bark. I needed it to upgrade my cauldron to level 3. And finally, I could cook some new foods including ice cream because priorities. After that, I went back to the plains and properly planted the flax and barley where they could actually belong. Lesson learned. So I decided to head back out and explore the plains again, mainly to hunt more logs for their meat and hopefully grab some black metal too. I really needed that logs meat so I could make a logs pie, which gives a huge health boost when you eat it. Totally worth it. While I was out there, a bunch of enemies started chasing me, so I tried picking them up one by one. Man, they're tough, especially those giant goblins that look like they've been hitting the gym non-stop. But honestly, it was a good chance for me to really test out my new weapons. And they were actually doing some real work this time. On day 194, I decided to grab all the black metal I collected from the plains and bring it back to my base. So I hopped on my boat and set sail. The plan was to keep all my stuff in one place so upgrading my gear would be way easier later on, especially when it starts getting harder to level things up. While I was sailing, it got dark, and of course, a serpent showed up. I totally panicked but managed to kill it quickly. Good thing I still had a few arrows left. It was actually my first time killing a serpent, and I finally got some serpent meat too. Pretty sweet. After that, I kept sailing, and just when I thought everything was chill, then boom, my boat broke apart. At that point, I was seriously frustrated and I had no idea what to do or how I was even gonna get out there. Stuck in the middle of nowhere. I took a moment to think, went into a black forest cave and gathered some materials. Then I came up with a plan. Find some leather scraps, craft a raft, and I slowly paddle my way back to the plains to pick up my stuff. Definitely not how I pictured the day going, but hey, at least it kept things interesting. So while I was in the Black Forest, before I could even make a raft, enemies started popping up, including a troll of course. After dealing with them, I quickly built a raft and a portal, so I could go back and grab my stuff faster. Plus, I figured I eventually build a proper boat here too, one that won't break right away. When I finally made it back to the shore, a bunch of enemies immediately rushed me, and man, I almost died right there. I literally had 1 HP left. Good thing I managed to dive straight into the portal just in time. When I got back to base, first thing I did was cook some food because, yeah, my character was starving. After that, I headed over to the swamp biome to gather some iron since I needed iron nuggets to craft the bigger, sturdier boat. Once I was done in the swamp, I went back to the Black Forest where I got stranded earlier and started building the boat there, just to make everything closer and easier. Finally, I made it back to the plains, loaded up all the black metal onto the boat, and set sail as fast as I could to get heck out of here. And finally, day 200 came. I was still out there sailing on my boat, but I was already getting close to the shore. As soon as I landed, I started hauling all the black metal I brought back from the plains. Honestly, I was just happy that I managed to bring everything home safe, especially after how far I had to go for it. And just like that, my 200 days in Valheim came to an end. I'm not sure yet when the next 100 days will happen, but man, this whole journey was such a blast. It felt way more exciting compared to my first 100 days, where most of it was just endless grinding. This time, it really felt fun and worth it. And that's a wrap on 200 days in Valheim. Hope you enjoyed the adventure as much as I did. If you want to see more, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and leave a comment if you have any tips for my next journey. Who knows, maybe we'll do another 100 soon. Catch you in the next one. Shee!